Could people that aren't councillors move? Excuse me, just call the meeting back to order. Would people who aren't councillors please leave the table, and for people who are councillors, please sit down. Thank you. And we're going to start up with the item number 7, that Natural Environment Recovery Program Quarterly Progress Report, and it's very good to see Chrissy Williams and Clive Appleton and Mike Teelan again. Thank you. Chrissy, do you want to start off, or is it Clive going to?
Thank you, Leanne. So this is the regular quarterly report. It was only 2 months ago that I was here last, but that's because this report has come sooner after our report to the Recovery Strategy Advisory Committee on the 11th of July. So hopefully we'll be able to keep that gap between the two presentations closer for the next reports. Just before I start with another... the Ihutai Trust that Eden Project we're referring to is the Ihutai Ahuwhenua Trust, who are the landowners for the Murray Reserve that was in Ihutai, MR 900, that was taken by the Public Works Act for the wastewater in 1956. So when they were talking about the Ihutai Trust, they're talking about that trust of landowners, not the Avon Heathcote Estuary Ihutai Trust. So I just want to make that clear.
We did understand that, and I think that it was that particular claim that Rick Toe mentioned in his welcome to us when we were elected.
Yes, I'm sure it would be.
Yes.
Okay, so back to the NERP. I think Clive's raised in the report a number of issues that are more recent and have come up through this quarterly report. I'll just mention 2 or 3 others. You'll know very well that the SERA have started their consultation on the residential red zone for Waimakariri District Council, and I encourage you to have a look at that site and how they're consulting on that. So it is an interesting process where any view is given the same, apparently is given the same view as any other weight. So there doesn't seem to be any recognition of where people come from or who they are. So that may be something you want to think about when you're consulting with SERA about the engagement process on the residential red zone in Christchurch. On that, I've had a very clear directive from the Chief Executive at ECAN, from the Chief Executive's Advisory Group, that the NERP should not be seen as supporting any particular project involving residential red zone land. So my role is there to be in support and to assist. So I want to really make that clear. As staff, I think in all the organisations we've been given that directive. So and that includes an additional inclusion of logos on various documents. The other work, in addition to what Clive has reported on, is with the flat water lake proposal. Sport Canterbury have picked up the mantle on liaising with all the flat water sports organisations to get some agreement about what their proposal or preferred option is, and that's been helpful. But the technical work that needs to be done is still sitting at the side of the work that Sport Canterbury's doing, and that will probably come later on after residential red zone discussion. But there is a lot of technical feasibility work required if that lake was to go ahead or to go further through to feasibility. As far as the rest of the actions, I think that the work on waste that has been reported to your Environment Committee on the 29th of July, an excellent report from Anne Columbus and the rest of the team from that group, and including report on asbestos. And you're probably familiar with the work that Environment Canterbury are doing on the hail identification sites and the letters that have gone to homeowners or property owners who may have some contamination, and the air plan has had quite a lot of public consultation and discussion recently. So those are just some projects. The other thing I wanted to mention was On the 2nd of July, we held a forum, an update on the NERP with stakeholders, and we had 60 people in your function centre downstairs. We had a series of presentations on the Central City work from CCDU, from Clive on stormwater, on community gardens and urban forests from the Soil and Health Association, on the Waitakere Sanctuary and Mahinga Kai Exemplar, and also Andrew Crossan talked about the changes to bird populations. And that forum was really well received. We got excellent feedback on it. For that presentation, we prepared prepared 3 information sheets, and we had other information from other sources available to people who were at that, and I've got a copy of the 3 NERP-led information sheets. I've got those to pass around to you, and that our intention is to have similar information sheets on all the 17 projects from the NERP. The feedback suggested that we should meet more frequently than annually for that catch-up forum, so we'll be planning something early in 2015. And one suggestion is that we may have a series of presentations, perhaps at lunchtime, rather than having a single evening presentation. So we're thinking about that format, and also making sure that there's good time for discussion and workshopping with the people that attend the forum. So I think that was all I was going to raise, but happy to answer questions.
Yanni? All right, Jimmy, you can ask a question first.
Simple question. It's very good report. Thank you. I just wondering regarding to this 17 project. Some of them have a completion date. Some of them didn't have. For instance, like project 15. My understanding, phase 1 they're already done. Am I right? The managing contaminated sites already done, but phase 2 is waiting for under development. So whether we can separate a different time period in here, we fully understand this kind of the draft provision has been developed, put into phase 1, and the other, the phase 2 is pending on the development phase 2. Then give us overall the progress. Yeah, it's possible. I mean the completion date, the date in here.
In 15, we haven't filled in the right-hand columns. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's right.
I mean, it's implied in that 3rd column, but we're happy to fill in the gaps for next time. So, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, that's good.
Phil?
Thanks, Chrissy. I just want to ask you, you referred to the possibility of a recreational lake. My understanding of the water retention basins in the southwest part of our city is that the model works pretty well. And I just wondered how you think that model might, say, be adapted for the lower Avon too, and perhaps still allowing for some water sports as well. But I'm talking about would a series of retention basins work best for I guess flood retention.
I think that's for you to ask your staff who are doing the modelling around the flooding. I mean, and my understanding is that those retention basins are better further up the catchment.
That's
but
right.
I'll leave it to your staff to answer that, maybe today or another time.
Yes, pretty much the southwest area, the basins are at the headwaters of the catchment, and that's where it works best. Stormwater detention facilities further downstream around the lower reaches of the Avon is something that there's further investigation required in order to determine how effective they will be.
I think for any flat water sports lake, the discussion around how variable the depth can be and still be a working lake is probably, could come into that as well.
Probably, if I just add to that also, that with the model, it's twofold. It's both about water management in terms of volume, but also very much around water quality management, and the cascading form of the small retentions actually allow us to polish the water and take out nutrients and sediments much more effectively than large single catchment lakes. So there's a whole variety of values that we're trying to address through the solutions that we're promoting.
Yeah, Tim.
I'm just looking with regards to number 16, the track earthquake effects on emissions and air quality. Obviously the rates have just gone up and power's gone up. Is there any work with regards to people making an economic decision to use fires more rather than heat pumps and others? Do we know that? Because there must be a balance between clean air and warm houses, what the health effects, what overlays one over the other.
Yeah, and that's been a discussion for many, many years around the development of the air plan chapter and the NRRP. And I mean, again, it's not an area that I'm intimately involved with. I know that Environment Canterbury staff have found it incredibly difficult to get information about what people are using as their heat source, even before the earthquakes, but afterwards. And there were changes when people had lost chimneys, different appliances were put in to replace those loss of chimneys. And yeah, so that information is hard to get. I think from the earthquake point of view, as far as air quality goes, it's what percentage of the current air emissions are around dust emissions rather than the emissions from fires. So, and again, that's quite hard to discern. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Glenn?
I mean, if you want presentations on the air plan, I can certainly arrange that with ECAN staff. So.
Through the Environment Committee.
Glenn?
Thank you. Thank you for this report, also for the forum you organised, Chrissy. I think more of those would be good. Very intriguing to hear what happens when, with the bird life where there once was residential. But my question is about the a biodiversity proposal that's been floated and how this connects up, whether you would see that as perhaps something that just this council would pursue, or whether you would have a direct role in kind of, not brokering, but getting it to land with us. Do you see that that would
Which
be...
proposal?
This is Colin Merck's.
You're talking about the Waitakere Sanctuary?
No, just his overall concept of a biodiversity relationship with the council.
I think you need to. The NERP is around earthquake response and earthquake recovery, and many people, including Colin, are seeing opportunities in the recovery for advancing various projects and ideas. And I mean, Colin's proposing the perimeter trail. Well, not just he's got a group, and then the Waitakere Sanctuary. Colin's involved with that, with again quite a wide-ranging group of agencies and individuals. As I said at the beginning, my role is to sit beside those people to help advise, to help provide technical information, but not to promote, especially if it's residential red zone land. So I don't know whether that answers your question.
No, that's okay. I think it's probably our role to pursue any kind of strategy or relationship over that, which is not specific project.
And I think, I mean, biodiversity is one outcome or one aspect, but there's a whole lot of other aspects. I mean, again, for the sanctuary that you've heard today about tourism, so there's a whole lot of other wider issues that you need to find that balance around.
Yanni?
Thank you for the report. I just, under section 5, where it says CCDU, Anchor Project Te Papa o Te Karo, Avon River Precinct, providing limited stormwater treatment, some stormwater treatment in East Frame. Now, given the extent of the flooding impacts that we had in these areas, that really concerns me. Where are we at in terms of the Avon River $100 million precinct, taking into account issues around stormwater? Because if it's just limited, it seems a bit of a lost opportunity given how much money's been spent on that.
Are you talking about stormwater quality, or are you talking about water quantity and flooding? Because they're quite different issues in the central city.
Right, it was really stormwater treatment. So, I mean, I think one of the goals is to clean up our river, and obviously the way stormwater is treated as it goes into the Avon River is probably pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can't speak on behalf of CCDU and the work they're doing. I am an observer on their project steering group, and I'm aware of some tension between in-river works and flood, which is probably a different question. As you're aware, for stormwater treatment, it's very difficult to retrofit stormwater treatment. But Clive has referred to this in his report, so maybe something he can pick up.
We're in the process of finalising the Avon Stormwater Management Plan and looking at locations for stormwater treatment facilities. And management of stormwater is a holistic approach right across the catchment, and it's looking at a range of options. And obviously the central city is one small area, and I know that our stormwater engineers are working with CCDU in looking at streetscapes, the design for stormwater treatment options in that area, from tree pits through to rain gardens, pervious surfaces, pavers, that sort of thing, to try and maximise stormwater treatment options within that area. So it's also working with building owners as well to look at on-site stormwater treatment options. So it's a partnership with CCDU in doing that.
Like the chicken and the egg, maybe, but if you're designing an Avon River precinct and you wanted environmental values to be kind of, as one of the key reasons for doing that, the plans that we see is putting a lot of hard surface down, and we haven't had detailed design, but that's what you can see from the images that are being produced. Should we not get the stormwater management plan for the Avon River sorted first so that they can design to it, rather than have them spend all this money, do the work ahead of us having actually a plan around it?
Well, as I say, our stormwater engineers have been invited to help with the design of the major streetscapes through the main transport corridors, and I haven't seen those final plans, but I know that our engineers have been working quite closely on what they see as desirable.
So in terms of the Avon River precinct, that's also being done?
They're working with them, yes. They have been working to some degree in the past.
So when can we get like a plan of what we're doing to get stormwater treatment around the Avon River precinct?
You'd have to ask CCDU for that. I mean, they are including quite a lot of riparian planting, more on the true left bank. The true right tends to be, the more developed area, or that does change a little bit as you go along the river. So there is riparian planting, but again, it's that tension between putting too much friction into the river channel and impeding water flow for flooding. So the group are incredibly aware of that, and they're trying to look at bits of the river site by site, so they're not having some blanket solution.
So you don't think it's an emerging issue? Like it's not recorded as an emerging issue? We just watch it?
No, sorry, I heard that our engineers are fully involved in the process.
They've been involved, and of course EOS Ecology have been contracted along with other contractors to work on the plan and implementation of development of the Avon precinct.
Okay.
And Colin Merck's an advisor to that group as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just on page 54, section 14, I know that you've got the Waste and Environment Management team, and it said that there's been, these collaborations have highlighted potential issues regarding asbestos, demolition waste and dust management. I was just wondering if someone could tell us what those issues were.
Which section, sorry?
Just in the third bullet point down. Land remediation and construction works in both Justice and Transport precincts. It says these collaborations have highlighted potential issues regarding asbestos, demolition waste and dust management.
Again, that's a central CCDU issue.
Right.
Again, from what I know, CCDU are treating all of the east frame as potentially contaminated, and they'll be doing site-by-site sampling and inspections and mitigating appropriate depending on the disturbance to the soil and on each site. So they're very, very aware of that and spend a lot of time thinking about the contamination and how they can mitigate and make sure they don't expose it for either health reasons or environmental impact.
But what this tends to imply is that people have been exposed to it in the justice and transport precincts where the work's already started, and that there hasn't been sufficient mitigation of the issues. But I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe that's a big conclusion to make from that. But maybe we could get through the CE some information back over what those issues were, because I guess there's increasing
Which
concern.
one are you referring to?
It's number 14.
14.
These are quite new projects. These are projects that have been done, in recent time, not 2 or 3 years ago. And we've continuously been reassured that the steps have been taken, but we've got collaboration. But if there's issues that have been raised in new projects, I think that's pretty alarming. And I think we need to just understand what those issues are and what we can do differently.
These aren't new projects. This is existing land that's had previous possible contamination from previous activities on it. So, CCDU are making sure that they're not disturbing land until they know what's in it, or soil until they know what's in it.
But things like dust management, demolition waste, I mean, that is all directly related to the work on those specific sites. So clearly, that stuff has only just happened recently. And so I think just getting a bit more understanding about what those issues were and what's been done to address them would be really good.
I thought the WEMP team had reported to the Environment Committee recently about their work.
Yeah.
They did, and that report is yet to come to council, but certainly the Environmental Committee looked at those issues and made some additional recommendations too. So that will come to council.
Okay, and the final question from me was on page 56 of our report, which was the risks and opportunities for introducing more resilient systems not taken because of a focus on repairing infrastructure, projects 3 and 5. I know last time we had this report, an emerging issue was SCIRT had a different view of what they should do in terms of standards and in terms of doing things differently. That's been removed from an emerging issue. Your risk mitigation is strong and frequent engagement between CERIS, CCC and SCIRT, but it seems still that that's not actually going to address the problem. And so I really want to know, what has SCIRT done differently to address that emerging issue, other than just being engaged with, which, I mean, we've engaged with them as well, but we haven't seen much change.
I can answer that.
Okay.
So we'll follow up.
I think we've also got some previous resolutions around alignment with the land drainage plan and the NERP, so I think we do need to start getting feedback about what we're actually doing, because I see it's been removed from the emerging issues list, but I haven't seen anything back as to why that's the case.
Okay, Tim.
There are 5, 6 and 17 are all about the waterways. Are they, so with 5, what, are they being looked at or connected completely? Or, because I mean, we've talked a bit about the Avon River, and it just seems every now and then that the Heathcote River seems a bit of an afterthought. I know there are different, and I'm just wondering, are these going to be looked at the same time? So if we're going to come up with, say, treatment for stormwater, would that suit both rivers? It would.
We are doing stormwater management plans for the rest of the city catchments and for the settlement areas where we have stormwater infrastructure on Banks Peninsula, and we'll be looking at exactly the same matters for stormwater treatment and also detaining stormwater where we can. So the technical work, as I say, is full technical work for the stormwater management plan for the Avon River has been completed, and in this new financial year we will be starting technical investigation work for the remaining catchments. So the Heathcote is going to be looked at this financial year.
Thank you.
Yep. Good. So who would like to move that the report be received? Paul Lonsdale seconded Tim Scandrett. I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That's carried.